Book of Jonah. Now word of Adonai arrives to Jonah, son of Amittai, saying, quote, Rise, go to the great city Nineveh, and call out to her, for their evil rises before me, unquote. And Jonah rises to flee to Tarshish from presence of Adonai. He goes down to Jaffa and finds a ship going to Tarshish, pays a fee and goes down into it to go with them to Tarshish, away from presence of Adonai. Then Adonai hurls a forceful wind into the sea, and there is such a mighty storm on the sea that the ship is about to shatter. So the sailors are afraid and cry out, each man to his own god. Then they cast the cargo that is in the ship into the sea to lighten it, and Jonah goes down into the lowest part of the ship to lie down and fall fast asleep. So the chief sailor arrives near to him and says to him, quote, What, are you sleeping? Get up. Call out to your God. Perhaps the gods consider us, so we do not perish, unquote. And each man says to his companion, quote, Arrive, that we cast lots, so we know because of whom this evil happens to us, unquote. So they cast lots, and the lot falls on Jonah. Then they say to him, quote, Tell us now, on whose account is this evil happening to us? What is your profession, and where do you arrive from? What is your land, and from what nation are you? Unquote. He says to them, quote, I am a Hebrew, and I reverentially fear Adonai, God of the heavens, who makes the sea and the dry land, unquote. Then the men are afraid with an overwhelming fear, and they say to him, quote, What do you do? Unquote. For the men know that he flees from presence of Adonai, because he tells them. So they say to him, quote, What do we do to you? So the sea is calm for us, unquote, for the storm rages on. Pick me up and throw me into the sea, unquote. He says to them, quote, Pick me up and throw me into the sea, unquote. He says to them, quote, Then the sea is calm for you, for I know it is because of me that this great storm is upon you, unquote. Nevertheless, men row hard to return to the land, and they cannot, because the sea keeps raging against them. So they cry to Adonai and say, quote, Please, Adonai, do not allow us perish on account of the soul of this man, and don't put innocent blood on us. For you, Adonai, do as you please, unquote. So they pick up Jonah and throw him into the sea, and the sea stills from its raging. Then the men are afraid with an overwhelming reverential fear of Adonai, and they offer sacrifice to Adonai and make vows. Now Adonai prepares a great fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah is in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. Then Jonah prays to Adonai, his God, from the belly of the fish, saying, quote, From my distress I cry to Adonai, and he answers me. From the belly of Sheol I cry for help, and you hear my voice. For you hurl me from the deep into the heart of the seas, and currents swirl around me. All your waves and your breakers sweep over me, unquote. And I say, quote, I am banished from before your eyes, yet I continue to look toward your holy temple, unquote. Waters surround me up to my soul. The deep sea engulfs me. Reeds cling to my head. To the bottoms of the mountains I go down. The earth with her bars are around me forever. Yet you bring my life up from the pit, Adonai, my God. As my soul fades from me, I remember Adonai, and my prayer arrives to you toward your holy temple. Those who watch worthless empty things forsake their mercy, and I, with a voice of thanks, sacrifice to you what I vow, I pay. Salvation is from Adonai, unquote. And Adonai speaks to the fish, and it vomits Jonah onto the dry ground. Now word of Adonai arrives to Jonah a second time, saying, quote, Rise and go to Nineveh, the great city, and cry out to it the proclamation that I tell you, unquote. So Jonah rises and goes to Nineveh, according to word of Adonai. Now Nineveh is a great city to God, the length of a 3-day journey. So Jonah begins to arrive into the city for 1 day's journey, and he cries out, saying, quote, Another 40 days, and Nineveh is overthrown, unquote. Then the people of Nineveh believe God and call for a fast and wear sackcloth, from the greatest of them to the least of them. When word reaches the king of Nineveh, he rises from his throne, he takes off his robe, covers himself in sackcloth, and sits in the ashes. He makes a proclamation, saying, quote, In Nineveh, by the decree of the king and his nobles, no man or beast, herd or flock, taste anything. They must not graze nor drink water, and cover man and beast with sackcloth, that they cry out to God with urgency, that each one turn from his evil way and from the violence in his hands. Who knows? God turns and relent and turns back from his burning anger, so that we do not perish. Unquote. When God sees their deeds, that they turn from their wicked ways, God relents from the calamity that he says he does to them and does not do it, and greatly displeases Jonah, and he resents it. So he prays to Adonai and says, quote, Please, Yahweh, Lord Yahweh, is not this what I say when I am still in my own country? That's why I anticipate fleeing to Tarshish, for I know that you are gracious and compassionate God, slow to anger and full of kindness, and relenting over calamity. So please, Adonai, take my soul from me, because better is my death than my life. Unquote. Yet Adonai says, quote, Is it good for you to be so angry? Unquote. So Jonah goes out from the city and sits east of the city. There he makes a sukkah, and he sits under it in the shade till he sees what happens in the city. Then Adonai, God, prepares a plant, and it grows up over Jonah to give shade over his head, to spare him from his discomfort. So Jonah is very happy about the plant. And God at dawn the next day prepares a worm that cripples the plant, and it withers away. When the sun rises, God prepares a scorching east wind, and the sun beats down Jonah's head so that he is faint. So he implores that his soul dies, saying, quote, My death is better than my life. Unquote. And God says to Jonah, quote, Is it good for you to be so angry about the plant? Unquote. Quote, It is. Unquote. He says, quote, I am angry enough to die. Unquote. And Adonai says, quote, You have pity on the plant, for which you do no labor, or make it grow, that appears overnight and perishes overnight. Shouldn't I have pity on Nineveh, the great city that has in it more than 120,000 people who don't know their right hand from their left, as well as many animals? Unquote.